I'm going to take a minute, folks, and talk about crude oil. Everything that is on the planet is a percent ours. And that means the crude oil, the trees, the the animals. I mean, animals. We all have to share the planet, human beings and animals. But the crude oil is ours. It don't matter if we turn it into Vaseline or jet fuel, or bar chain oil, or 3-in-1 oil. It's all of our oil. It's absolutely wrong. Somebody becoming wealthy, a few individuals, a family of people that are becoming more wealthier than the workers. It's all equal. Who says anybody should have power on this planet? It does not say it in the Bible that anybody should have power. You know, it don't even say that the wise should have power. If anybody that has power are the loudest things on earth, like cicadas. If you're louder than the next man, then you're gonna take advantage of people. But the thing about it, that's absolutely wrong. It should be a more equal society than that. And if we don't have an equal society, we have chaos and murder. Because people get tired of being took advantage of, being, charged constantly for something that, maybe they know how to make. But, you know, they want to do something different with their life. Or that don't know, that no one's going to teach them how to make, but they might be interested in learning. They're being still charged. No matter what situation you're in, you're being charged. And that's absolutely wrong. Everything on this planet belongs to people that are born here or not born here. 99% of people that are on this earth did not ask to be born. We need to share this planet, even with the cicadas, even with the earthworms. We need to share it. Give it its space to, do its job here on earth, and they give us our space to do our job. But humans really don't have we have a job building up and sharing the planet with ourselves, and not, we kind of take advantage of the planet from other animals, but they do the same thing to us. So it's it's a catch 22 there when you're sharing it with a pig or a cow, because you're going to take up more space than they are, because you're the smarter species. But after a while, it's just common sense to think that somebody's going to get taken disadvantage of, taken advantage of, really. And we still have to try to make it fair, regardless of the species or the color of your skin or the language that you speak or the religion you believe in. We need to have equality for all human beings on this earth and species, and try to give it its space. When it starts to take advantage of the planet, well, we need to decrease the space that it has, or neutralize the species. I'm not gonna share a garbage can with roaches. If I have to live in a garbage can, but I'm not gonna live in a garbage can. Period. But roaches will, and that's their space. So when you dump all of your garbage, the roaches go into the dumpster and end up at the uh, garbage impact facility, and that's just the way it goes. And they end up crawling in your house because they're hungry and they ain't finding much food out in the woods or the boonies or the jungle, or so they're gonna be around things that have food. They're gonna be an inconvenience to you because they are hungry. But what is a really inconvenience is, not being able to share all this crude oil. And everybody gets to have the same, portion of gasoline. Communism doesn't work. But, stretching things out farther for other individuals to use, and uh, being $100 apart does. A few more, an extra gallon to this guy, and you know a 1 gallon less to this guy is not the worst of the worst. That's actually more sharing than anything. Is giving him a little less and him a little more, and going back and forth. That's not communism, but that works a lot better than communism because you're not taking advantage of another species. You're not, stealing from one species and trying to, sell that to people to make more money. It's actually, taking advantage of the world, what China did when they were eating all that shark fin soup and, frying dogs to make extra money when they were getting a check. Everybody was getting equal check, but some people don't know how to spend their money correctly. Some people have a drug problem. Some people have, brain issues. Some people are greedy, plain out greedy, and that's a deficiency we have here on Earth in our DNA. That the chromosome scientists, they can't just make people that are not greedy, that are into sharing more. We have the technology to do that nowadays. We've had that technology for a while. It was given us by the aliens, which we don't have to share nothing with, because they don't live on this planet. If there's a such thing as aliens or UFOs, which might be all made up. I've never seen one. I've only, drawings of them and, you know, artificial intelligence of them. I mean, make your decision. I mean, if aliens exist, they will let everybody know they exist. 99% of the world would know they exist or have seen one or been abducted by one, but, only a small percentage has. That's odd. That's a mysterious thing.